One of the great shames of my life is that I fell hook, line, and sinker for the propaganda that manufactured consent for the invasion of Iraq in 2003. And if you're not familiar with that history, which makes me feel old saying that, but yes, that's getting close to ancient history at this point. George W. Bush, who was president at that time, claimed that Iraq was developing weapons of mass destruction.
There is no doubt that Saddam Hussein now has weapons of mass destruction.
This was later proven to be false, but this claim was made to justify the quote-unquote preemptive war in Iraq. The claim was made that Iraq was such a huge danger and threat to the world that they had to be invaded. Now, this same line of propaganda is being warmed over and trotted out by Israel to justify their unilateral attack on residential buildings in Iran and a situation that might blow up into World War III. Now, in my defense, when I fell for the propaganda back in 2003, I was very young. I was like 19 years old. And even I started to see through the BS and stopped supporting the war after like the second or third year. I'm not falling for that line of propaganda again, but I do think that I have a better understanding now of why it worked on me and so many other people in the West, and especially in the USA. The USA has a settler colonial origin, and the American mindset is a settler colonial mindset. I'm talking about especially like white Americans here. And this idea of preemptive war is a very old settler colonial propaganda line that has been used to justify atrocities for many centuries. You may or may not be familiar with the idea of the fear of reprisal excuse for colonization, apartheid, and other atrocities and human rights abuses that has been used by settler colonial countries for a long time. It basically is this idea that we have to keep subjugating the indigenous population. We have to keep having apartheid. We have to keep bombing Gaza. Israel's using this line of propaganda right now, by the way, because if we don't subjugate the natives, then what they do to us will be even worse. This goes into the Great Replacement theory. There's a lot of really bad reactionary propaganda that's rooted in this basic idea of fear of reprisal. And that is exactly the line of propaganda that's being used right now to justify this preemptive war. We know a lot more now collectively in terms of social consciousness than we did back in 2003. We're very familiar with this line of propaganda. It should be a lot easier to resist. Please, please do everything you can to resist this war. Help us build a peace movement. Help us stop Israel from this absolutely unhinged campaign of terror.